Remember when leeching used to be cool? Yeah, I do. Back in the old sewers, it was okay to have players who leeched, so long as there weren't too many. This was the same for many areas of the game, because the density wasn't incredibly packed with a bunch of monsters, was it? I would do this a lot. I would stay on a swarm of egg summons and stick summons, and I would simply use lightning and bone to obtain the loot, whilst also not having them lose their loot. I didn't even care for squads quite often, I just did this. And the funny part about this was I was helping them more than they were helping me. That is what you would consider leeching back in those days, when it was more acceptable. Now, if you dare to try this in the newer version of sewers, especially considering a lot of sewer squads are 3+3 squads, you would be told to leave. And if you end up dying, you end up being marked. Leeching, no longer acceptable. It became a cardinal sin to leech. Whenever there was a super and you were in a squad like this, and a bunch of players came through a mega squad, a lot of them tend to stay here and try to take and poach a lot of the loot that you would have gotten. Now, bubbles here are very important. Arguably the most important petal from Ocean. The mob dies far too quickly because of its health, and you will always get a few that will try. What was once an activity I used to do, I no longer do, and I will mark anyone that tries. It's just not okay anymore, and unfortunately for some players, they have to do it if they need better petals, and by that point they should really be entering squads more tailored to them, or be lucky that a stronger player is nice enough to carry them. Annoying other squads is just not the play. Now, players waiting for supers is normally fine, but that is only if they do not try and steal loot from the main squad that they are basically hiding in. That's still okay, usually, but normally you are still told to leave. There's always random players, directly or indirectly, ruining the squad just for being there, because either way they are still leeching for super monsters to spawn. This is why players hoard any supers for themselves, so that there's no leeches coming for them, because all leeching players, they just make it worse for the squad. Now, players can do what they want, they can leech anyone they want. However, do not be surprised if they take appropriate action to remove you from the situation, because even though you think you may not be doing anything, you may accidentally lure a bunch of monsters onto the squad and then potentially kill the squad. So me marking you is basically your indication to leave, because you know I'm not going to talk in game, so this is my way of communicating to you to leave. Got it? Good. And if you don't get it, expect to be marked, or at least ignored. It is not worth it to be considered a leech. Ask yourself, do you want to be considered a leech towards the stronger squads? If you don't want to be considered one, just simply do not do it. However, if you do, you will do it at your own risk.